The sugar industry is one of the key drivers of the Kenyan economy. It employs thousands of people directly as well as indirectly and has a gross annual turnover of 50 billion shillings and a net turnover of about 20 billion. It also contributes to other sectors such as health, education, research, and infrastructure development. The government agency tasked with the regulation and promotion of the crucial subsector is the Sugar Directorate.
Our mission is essentially to see to it that we come up with an industry, the sugar industry, that is world-class, that responds to the normal or the current nature of sugar trade globally, and therefore ensuring ultimately that all the players along the value chain get value for their money. AFA is the authority established to basically implement the Crops Act. You do recall that when the AFA Act was enacted, it was enacted together with the Crops Act 2013. So the responsibility of AFA is essentially to implement the Crops Act. Now, when the structure of AFA is such that we saw the collapse of about 9 former regulatory boards in the agriculture sector. One of them was the Kenya Sugar Board, as it was known then. So that is what has now transformed or transitioned into what we now call the Sugar Directorate within AFA. So it's one among the other directorates under AFA with the sole responsibility of regulating and promoting the sugar industry in Kenya.
There are currently 12 sugar factories in Kenya. 5 of them, Chemelil, Soni, Nzoia, Muhoroni and Miwani, are government-owned. The local sugar industry has been in existence since the year 1900, and while the original millers, such as Ramisi, are no longer in existence, there are several factories in operation that date back decades. Mumias Sugar Factory, the largest sugar concern in the country, is one such entity.
Historically, starting in 1968, this was probably the biggest development in this area when Mumias was a very small town and Kakamega was also not a city like it is today. So it was a big project in this area. We only had jaggeries up to that time. We had some sugarcane growing in a very small way, but when Booker Tate came in 1969 and in a joint venture with the government established a sugar factory that would make around about, I think those days, around about 50,000 tons sugar a year, which went up to 70,000 tons fairly quickly in about 2 years. And then we started expansions right up until the mid-1990s when we were able to produce 250,000 tons of sugar. So yeah, there's been a lot of contribution to the social scene, if you like, to the community. The housing that we've put in here over many years we have 2,300 houses. So all of those things are contributing to the well-being of the community. Schools, hospitals, clinic, all of those things are here. And a lot of those were initiated by the company, by Mumia Sugar Company. The direct impact on business, you can certainly count up to 1 million people for sure.
Most sugarcane farms are run by small-scale farmers. The key cane-growing zones are the Nyando Sugar Belt, Western Kenya, and the Coast region. Francis Okutoi is a 67-year-old cane farmer from Mumias.
I've taken my children to school using sugar money. I've built my house using sugar money. There's so many. I'm now rearing cows using sugar money, and so many other things. There are so many other developments that I have been using sugar money.
We currently employ 1,200 permanent employees, and in the value chain you get almost 10,000 and above. In the value chain we have people in the fields, planting, cane, harvesting, transport. We have shops that supply fertilizer, herbicides, and other equipment related to the value chain of cane production. Of course, Chemelil has improved the infrastructure. At one point, the agencies, and even up to now, the agencies are not well structured in terms of road infrastructure, which stimulates a lot of other economic activity. So we have carried out improvement of road network in the sugar belt between Kisumu County and Nandi County, where we must operate almost on 50% basis. We've been in CSR. We've built a number of schools. Chemelil Sugar Academy here is one of the best in the country, and we admit students from all over the country, from Mombasa to Garissa. It's a national school, and other schools. We have a fully fledged hospital here with a doctor and clinical officers, nurses, with a maternity wing, and it's open to the public.
Besides the farmer and the miller, another significant cog in the sugar sector machinery is the outgrower.
Here we deal in cane, and cane is mainly done by farmers. And we have two types of farmers here. We have a farmer which we call nucleus estate. This is an estate which belongs to the company, and this is the miller. In our case, it's Chemelil Sugar Company. So they are also growing cane, although they mill cane, so we call them nucleus estate. Then we have another farmer who has his own plot, is growing cane, but supplies this cane to the miller, which is, in this case, Chemelil Sugar Company. Since this farmer is doing this thing on his own, Chemelil Sugar Company calls him or her an outgrower. He does it on his own outside there. So outgrower means he's outside there. But then this cane is still meant for Chemelil Sugar Company, which is the miller. So this outgrower, that's why our company was called outgrower, because as we deal with that person who is independent, is on his own, but he needs somebody to bridge the gap between him and the miller. So that's how we come in.
The outgrowers have played a very important middle negotiations, because you cannot have all farmers going to the millers to look for their rights or look for their payments. So the outgrower has largely played that important role, the middle role, because as a union which represents the farmers, it is the voice of the farmer. It's a common area of the farmer to address the issues, both in terms of payment, preparing the land, and all those things. And negotiating for the prices, and also getting the contracts, the farmer. The outgrower plays a major role, has been playing a major role. It's actually like an advocate between the farmer and the millers.
The major challenge here is the biggest one is lack of funds, both for developing the cane and even for the factory to pay for the cane that has already been delivered by the farmer.
An organization known as Kenya National Federation of Sugarcane Farmers looks out for the interests of the farm workers. We spoke to the Chief Executive Officer, Francis Waswa.
Our mandate or our objectives are to look after the interests of the sugarcane farmers in Kenya, to see to it that their involvement in sugarcane production is profitable. That's our main interest, and that means a lot.
We are still of the strong view that farmers need an umbrella organization, which is also recognized in the law. That farmers need an umbrella organization that would more or less give them the muscle to negotiate with particularly the millers. We do appreciate that an individual farmer would totally be disadvantaged if he or she has to negotiate with any miller. And therefore we are, as I mentioned, as alluded to, we are of the firm conviction that farmers need an organization or an entity that would more or less play that role for them. And to that extent, quite a bit of work is being done trying to ensure that we do come up with an organization that does exactly that. We are hoping that once that happens, then this whole issue of farmers feeling disenfranchised and not feeling like they have a voice will be sorted out.
One of the major game changers of the industry, especially in recent times, has been cutting-edge technology. We visited sugar companies that are reaping the benefits of embracing high technology.
If you see the private mills, if I see they are much ahead in technology compared to the parastatal. Our efficiencies are much better. Our services are much better. See, West Kenya is pioneer in making cane price payment to farmers. It's the only factory which is making payment on weekly basis to the farmers.
We have installed our refinery, and we have commissioned, cold commissioning has been completed, and we are adopting the technology of ion exchange. So this is different from our brown sugar. Okay, so because this brown sugar, it cannot be used for the soft drink companies and pharmaceutical companies. So we are having 500 TPD capacity, and per annum we are producing around 125,000 tons of sugar. So this sugar is very pure, 99.95 purity, and this is having less ash contents, potassium, sodium and other non-sugars. So this can be easily used by those these breweries and these pharmaceutical companies, which other sugars cannot be fit for that.
The one observation is that most growers do not see more than 3, sometimes 4 ratoons, and the only way we can intervene is to look at the farming practices from base cutting to make sure we have proper base cutting for the new generation of plant material to have a strong root system. On top of that, we look at our current transport system, and with the heavy trolleys, 2-wheel drive tractors, the very wet conditions, we've been doing untold damage to the growers' shambas in terms of really damaging the ratoons and the roots, which then has a very negative impact on the subsequent crop. So we've looked at systems that we've used elsewhere. In South Africa, we use what's called a side loader trailer. The beauty of that is that we build a stack, we ensure proper base cutting, all the cane is collected into the stack and the trash is left in the rest of the field. The trailer then comes up alongside the stack. It self-loads with the cable system, so we have no bell loader in-field spinning and turning and damaging the shamba. And then that system itself, once it's loaded, you'll see the cane is very secure, and when it leaves the shamba and travels out on the road, there's no regatta, there's no spillage on the roads, so it's a far more efficient system, and most importantly, it looks after the shamba.
Cane testing units are a brilliant illustration of how technology is revolutionizing the industry. Cane that is rich in sucrose is the ideal farm produce. It stands to reason that those who deliver more quality cane should be paid more than those who deliver low sucrose produce. This not only encourages more serious farming attitudes, but also better harvesting methods, as the sucrose tends to concentrate at the bottom of growing cane. This is where cane testing units come into play. A sample of the delivered cane is placed into the unit, tested, and the sucrose content indicated, all in a very professional and transparent manner.
Well, there are several factors to consider with the cane testing unit. We will be paying the farmer based on the quality of their cane, that is the sucrose content in the cane. Now, for the farmer, you find that if they maintain their cane properly, then they will get high quality cane and they'll be paid higher returns. At the same time, for the miller, he will be able now to get quality cane from the farmer, so that the processing actually end up with more sugar than what we have been using in the old system, where we buy cane using weight, and then some cane may not even be maybe dry, but we have already bought it, so you don't get much out of the cane. So I would imagine that is going to control the qualities of cane, both for the farmer and for the miller.
Irrigation is another relatively recent innovation. Kwale International Sugar Company, KISCO, based at the Kenyan coast, uses irrigation in order to grow cane without having to be dependent on rainfall, as is the case in most parts of the country.
Here in Kwale, we have challenges in agriculture, and the labor is an issue. Therefore, we have tried to mechanize most of our operations, right from planting up to harvesting. We have even choppers for harvesting, just because the labor is a problem. Right now, this is part of Nucleus Farm. The whole farm is about 70 hectares. We have kept it separately for seed cane sourcing. So behind us, we are showing an operation, one of the mechanized operation of in-row cultivation. The implement we have here has been fabricated in our factory, which has come as a result of labor shortage. We are doing subsurface drip irrigation, and the advantage here is that we use less water. Here, where rainfall is less than about 1,000 millimeter per year, so we do irrigation most of the time.
Sugarcane not only provides the sugar we put in our tea every day, but is also the raw material of a very wide variety of products.
Basic raw material is a molasses, which is an extract of sugar milling, and we get it from the sugar mills. Yeah, we receive some from Sony Sugar, we receive some from